Hey guys! So I got a lot of really great and positive feedback about the photos that I recently shared, and I had a lot of people ask me how I edited this photo. So I thought it would be really cool to try and do a before and after and go through some of my settings and kind of just show you what I did. So you can kind of see here my before and my after along with my settings. It shows that I shot at 125th of a second. This was done at a 1.6 with an ISO of 100 on my 85mm. Now, I was shooting on full manual. Lighting conditions were getting dark rapidly, and I was really wanting to go for this kind of golden hour, light and bright, creamy, almost dream like image, but lighting was not cooperating, so I shot the best that I could, slightly underexposed, so that I could bring a lot of this back and add a lot in post. So with my finished image, typically where I like to start is I start adjusting just my main things: exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks. I don't really mess with texture, but I do bump the clarity on my main image just because I'm going to be doing so much masking, decreasing clarity. And then I play around with the vibrance and the saturation just a little bit to get things where I would like. Tone curve is where it gets a little tricky. I'm still not super practiced, and it's kind of, I struggle with this a little bit just because the tiniest movements go in and adjust so quickly. These ones here haven't been changed a lot under red, but I go in and you can kind of see, and this took a lot of time, kind of just fiddling around to figure out where I'd like, and you can kind of see those input points. For the main, I don't really touch the color mixer for the main image. I do sometimes play around with it. I love this feature, but colors were already where I really wanted them. Color grading, also kind of new. I really like how I can go in and play around with highlights, shadows, midtones. For these warmer edits, I really like to hug and lean into the warmer orangey reds, yellows, especially for highlights and shadows. Midtones a little bit, but mostly highlights and shadows. Most of my images, I always typically set the sharpening for about 20. This one I wanted to really kind of make sure that my subject really popped. And since I'm softening up the image so much, I feel like that sharpening kind of just brings it back a little bit. Oops, I usually always check the chromatic abrasion. Yeah, so that's kind of for my main ones. I do a lot with masking. A lot of what you're seeing here is artificial light. It did not look like that. If I get rid of all of my masks, you can kind of just see how drab and dark. It still looks nice. It just wasn't really giving that what I wanted. So I went in, I added a whole bunch. You can see I kind of added some radial and some linear masking. A really cool tool that I just discovered is this luminance range mask. So I can go in, select what luminance range I want. So for that kind of really pretty glow that I'm going for, I like to select the brightest points of my image. And then I will go in and decrease like texture clarity and actually add some haze to my image, which can sound kind of counterintuitive. The dehaze function works really great, and I use that for a lot, especially for wider shots. But for some of these hazy ones that already had really good clarity, adding a little bit of haze can kind of just add that glow that I was looking for. And I'll hide that so you can kind of see the difference that makes, especially in the clothing and some of the brightest points. I did go in, mask the background separate. For that, I did decrease the texture and the clarity. However, I didn't use any of the lens blur for the entirety of the image. My f-stop was at a good enough point where it gave me that really creamy background, but I did just want to kind of decrease some of that, not necessarily the sharpness, but I did want to add a haze and just kind of a creaminess to the entire photo. But yeah, so I went in, and then for the last of it I went and kind of highlighted, brightened up my main subject down to the temperature just a little bit. At this point I'm really just kind of playing around with it. I would say though the most important aspects of this edit was going in and recreating the light source that I wanted. But for sure the trick to getting those really pretty creamy, almost dreamlike edits would be playing around a lot with your texture clarity and your dehaze tool. That is how I did it. I did go through and created some of my own presets from this edit. If anybody is interested in them, let me know. I can figure out how to try and send them. I had a couple people ask. But yeah, so here is the final edit. I'll go back and you can see that before and after again, which is really cool. But yeah, before, after. All right, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know. I will do my best to answer.